Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Byte That weekly wrestling podcast where you can check us out. Okay, this is none of my usual intro really works with this. My name is Juan Velas. For the past 4 years, the person that is joining me, which is Ryan McNulty right now, and Keith Poshik, that he's going to be back on the podcast next week. In 2013, we began a journey. You know, we've been friends for 14 years, and the thing that really, binded us together was professional wrestling. Talking about Raw, SmackDown, talking about WCW and the stupid things that were happening in the ruthless aggression era, the questionable decisions that the WWE has made. And in 2012, we began talking a little bit more again. We had some time where, maybe like Ryan disappeared a little bit. The three of us were talking much on a week-to-week basis. And then we said in 2013, hey, we have such a damn good time talking about wrestling. Why don't we just do a show about it? We didn't have a title. We didn't have a name. We had one purpose, and that's hit record and talk about wrestling as friends. It is very sad to say, and with a heavy moment in our hearts right now, that in 2017, the Byte That Wrestling podcast is coming to an end. This has been a very, very challenging decision that, for the large portion of this edition right now, we're going to talk about all of this specifically, why this happened. So Ryan, definitely want to bring it over to you, buddy. What is the main reason that led to the demise of the wrestling podcast known as Byte That? Give me the scoop, man. Got to energize this a little bit. It's too sad, right? Man, this is depressing right now. It was Keith.
Hashtag blame Keith.
Canadians, man. Canadians.
Keith.
No.
He left the show. Everything went to hell. You see what happens. No. It
was Jeff. It was actually Jeff.
It was Jeff. Damn you, Jeff. Damn you.
No.
Okay. To get real, because this is not a joke. Byte That will be coming to an end at the end of September. Honestly, the decision happens to be entirely because of WWE. We are honestly just very much burnt out on the product. It's been a long time coming. We've had our ups and downs with watching it, and when it comes down to it, if we want to do a podcast about WWE, specifically the weekly television shows, if we're doing this, we want to be fully dedicated. And if we're not feeling the show anymore after 4 years, and we're burnt out, we're not going to half-ass it and just keep going. It's not fair to anyone. And when it comes down to it, it's really just the amount of time we invest into WWE, in the satisfaction we're getting from it, just are not aligning right. And, it just felt like the right time for us to just walk away. And I'm not even saying WWE is at its worst point right now. There's a lot to like about WWE right now, but we just aren't enjoying it on the level that we used to, that would bring passion to doing this show. We love everything about doing Byte That. We wish we could do Byte That that's not about wrestling, essentially. But that's what we committed to, and we just can't commit to WWE anymore. Our satisfaction is just no longer there.
Yeah, like today we've been texting back and forth. We sent out a tweet yesterday that was Tuesday night, because and like, talk about a not moment. So today's my birthday, right? So I was telling Ryan, like, okay, man,
happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you, man,
hey!
Thank you. I'm like, we need to soften the blow a little bit, because we know that this is not just challenging and hard for us; it's also very difficult for many people, that have been listening to, the Andy C's of the world, like people that since day one or day one-ish have been members of the Bike Club, really hanging out with us, dealing with our evolution, witnessing the things that were awesome, and then other things that, maybe fantasizing about things isn't necessarily the good idea. and bear killing.
Fantasies.
Yes. And thank you everybody in the live chat. We're still going live on the YouTube channel, but being completely selfish. Like I remember like the two moments that I realized I was done watching WWE, because I am actually done. Like we're not just finished with the podcast. I am, at least for the time being, done with the WWE. Like with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, I need a break. Like the burnout is real, and while SummerSlam was happening, and anybody that listened to that, listen to it again, because I did recently, and I sort of realized it, like, it doesn't matter what happens right now. I feel like CM Punk can come back in a Money in the Bank Hell in a Cell triple cage match wrapped in an Inferno match, and I would feel neutral about it. I feel like anything that you do, if you love, I love desserts, and I feel like if I ate the dessert that I loved every day, I would grow to hate it. Another example is I feel like WWE has become a circus. The WWE is a show. Like the WWE goes town to town, and the superstars, Dean Ambrose, you know what he's going to do. You know what Braun Strowman's going to do. After a while, I realized I've seen what I need to see. Like, I feel like despite heel turns, face turns, gray matches, bad matches, I can read what's happening in WWE and get it right. Even in the weeks like last week, where the hurricane happened, and, for those wondering, everything's pretty okay in Puerto Rico. It's a very difficult time, though, especially for our brother islands. Many people, like St. Martin, St. Kitts, like a bunch of places, they lost like their homes completely, and Puerto Rico is becoming a shelter for over 3,000 people. I'm actually going to be helping out with that very soon. It's a very sad time. But last week, I just read like a couple of things, and then I even mentioned to you, Ryan, I feel like I don't even need to watch what happened last week. I can just read a word and just get like, okay, this happened and this happened because this is WWE. This is what usually happens. And it's just like, why watch it? I was writing to Cynical Justin, a longtime supporter, yesterday, and I was telling him TV and video games and movies right now are the best they've ever been, because you can enjoy retro content like it's modern content, whether it be upscaled, remasters, old movies are becoming new again, or re-releases like Netflix exclusive series. I know you watch like Game of Thrones. Like, there's so much to watch that you got to ask yourself, why do you invest so many hours into WWE? And for those that enjoy it and listen to the show, this is also why we're ending it, because we don't want our oversaturation of the product to affect your viewing experience. Like, if you're enjoying WWE right now, it doesn't matter how old or young you are, awesome. Like, that is completely awesome. We are not here to change your perspective. The whole premise of Byte That was three friends that enjoy watching wrestling. We are an international podcast, if you really think about it, somewhat maybe, and we want to just have that conversation and get your feedback, whether you agree or not. That's what this was all about. And when it came to just like the three of us are forcing ourselves to go like, there's got to be something good. There's got to be something good. And it's not there. Why do you watch?
It's true. Juan, very, very well said. And it comes down to it. I watch WWE and I really just, I don't really feel anything anymore. And that's kind of, it's sad. And that's not what we're all about. We don't want to bring people down with us, essentially. We don't want to just keep spreading negativity and talking crap about WWE. If you enjoy WWE, we don't want to take that away from you. And we just kept finding less and less about WWE to enjoy. Like I said, there's still a lot of cool things happening, but when I've watched wrestling for so long, you start to understand the cycles, and you see events repeating themselves, and along the way there's always cool things that are happening, don't get me wrong, but when you do a podcast about wrestling and a YouTube channel, it is a commitment, and we can't, at least I myself, it's like I didn't want to miss Monday Night Raw, even though I could have gotten away with not watching Raw and SmackDown for months and still done this podcast and just saw the highlights, but I wanted to be in the same shoes as everyone else who was watching the show. If it was a bad Raw, I wanted to sit through all 3 hours so that I had the full perspective of what that experience was like watching Monday Night Raw, so I could relate to those who were listening. And I love doing this show, but I can't watch WWE anymore. I just need to step away. Um, Throughout my entire time watching wrestling, I started watching in the year 2000, so almost 17 years ago now, and which is crazy to think about. I've never watched wrestling consecutively as long as I did for Byte That, because like other things, you just get burnt out. You take a break for maybe a year, a couple of years, and then you come back to it. But I wanted to stay dedicated because of Byte That. So I've definitely watched long, this many years straight, longer than I probably ever have before, to stay committed to the podcast.
Yeah, and I owe wrestling a large portion of my life. I owe wrestling, half the reason I learned English was because of Jim Ross, watching WWF, listening to Tony Schiavone and WCW, like
Would have
all of
loved
that.
to hear your vocabulary as a
Yeah.
young child.
It's like saying
By
slobber.
God,
Yeah.
by God.
Oh man, just that those ridiculous moments are what I loved. Like on a local scale, everybody knows me as the wrestling guy. Like when I told one of my best friends that this was happening, he's a listener, so he could even be checking this out right now. He got pissed off at me, like legitimately angry, and it's because like I okay, let's put this into context. If 100% is my life, like that is the day to day, like 75% is Byte That in wrestling. So like to make this decision is literally changing my life completely. So you and I in particular, because Keith is going through a lot of changes right now in life, but he should be back next week. He's been involved in all of this conversation. We poke fun, blame Keith and all that. Seriously, this has been the three of us. If anything, he's felt this like longer than even you and I were sort of in denial. Like, let's sort of admit a little bit.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, he was the first one to sort of raise the hand and say, guys, so this is how I'm feeling. And we were like, no, man, things are going to get better. And then 2 months later, things are going to get better. And then 2 months later, okay, like there's only so much we can do. We don't want to be hypocritical with all of you. And to put it, to really bring it back to the origins, I want to fall in love with wrestling again. And I feel like, especially within the last year, the ups and downs that have been happening in WWE, like reading news, as a podcast, it's also a challenge. You got to stay up to date with what's happening with the backstage stuff, and that drains you. If there's one thing, and I know this is really difficult in an era where social media exists, but please, you don't know how much this is going to help you. If you want to enjoy any kind of wrestling, don't read dirt sheets. Don't, like, if I could take something back right now, don't. It's stupid. It ruins the experience. When you already have Roman Reigns and John Cena basically breaking kayfabe on TV, you don't need any more kayfabe breaking stuff. Enjoy it for what it is. How would you feel if while you were watching any TV show, you were just searching for gossip online? Maybe some people do that, but to me, that would kill the mystique of the show. So just enjoy the shows for what they are, and I want to have a chance to do that. Like, I think you said that, we talked to our patrons and broke the news this Sunday. So patrons, you guys don't know how much we love you, and everybody else, whether you're a patron or not, you guys are awesome. And we were just saying, now we can enjoy wrestling as fans for a little bit and check out maybe New Japan Pro Wrestling, something that's a little bit more digestible, but lay back a little bit. Like I told you guys this morning, I unsubscribed from Squared Circle on Reddit, even though I love reading it. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back to it in a month. But right now, I need a palate cleanser. I need to take it back and almost start, before we have Byte That, before like all social media was exposed. Because I honestly think that oversaturation really, really makes you sick without really realizing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things. I think there's just so much WWE, and we really wanted to cover as much as we could, and it ended up being basically a fast track to burning out. Because I mean, if you think about when we started back in 2013, right? SmackDown was not very important at all. So we'd literally watch Raw on Monday, do the podcast on Tuesday, boom, done. Done for the week. Of course, there was pay-per-views every Sunday. Well, not every Jesus, not every
Whoa,
Sunday.
Ryan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't let Vince McMahon hear that. All of a sudden, we'll have them. Um, but yeah, you had the pay-per-views once a month, and then the brand split. Although I think overall for the health of WWE, I think it was a good idea. That meant SmackDown was something we need to cover, and then all of a sudden pay-per-views are every other Sunday, and it was just not that the content is always bad, but it's so much to consume every single week. You think about people that cover other TV shows, maybe when it's in season, there's like 10 episodes all an hour long, and then they can spend the rest of the week just reviewing and making content. It's just very difficult. WWE is a moving train. It never stops, and there's always something. And I think there's just so much that we got burnt out. And if there was ever any other project we wanted to pursue, there was this huge obstacle of we still we don't want to half-ass Byte That. So we just can't do that project essentially because WWE just takes up so much of our week.
Yeah, like those that follow me on a closer level, like I stream through Press Pulse. I recently started a YouTube channel, and I just couldn't keep up with it, and it was just because we want to be responsible. So like Ryan said earlier, if we're doing a podcast, we are doing a podcast. That means that we are going to be watching WWE every week. We're not going to be doing 10 videos about how CM Punk is coming back to the WWE and how that is the thing that you should be caring about just for clicks. If you notice, like we've strived, and I hope that we've been responsible enough with that to maintain integrity, by that. I think we become looser over time because, we enjoy, we enjoy doing what we do, like hanging out with you guys, like having the podcast go live. One of the best decisions I think we made. I wish we had done that like friggin' 2 years ago. Just technologically speaking, we weren't really there. Doing the Play That's live for the couple of times we did, awesome. Fan Friday, I really enjoyed that. Being able to take one question from you guys and really digest it a little bit more, give it the time that it needs. The Byte That Patreon show, we barely talked about wrestling, and all of you guys gave us great feedback, and we love doing it, despite the fact that we have people from Australia, like all over the world, hanging out with us. Despite our differences, our cultural differences, we came back. So like Ryan said earlier, we were thinking, hey, maybe Byte That can switch to something else. We realized that outside of wrestling, we are all fans of movies, TV shows, and video games, but we consume it differently. And Joe Windingland, one of our patrons, writes in chat, I'm sure you guys are burnt out, but you guys are famous now because of it. Like, we realize we have a responsibility, and this week, without going into too much context, you look at somebody like PewDiePie says something very controversial online, that affects everybody. And we know that some of you listen to us at work and have it be part of your routine. All of a sudden, that's not going to be there. We can't sit here and pretend like whatever it is that it is we do, is going to be the same, because it's not. We are not done, though, and that's sort of where I like to switch a little bit, right? Like, not just focus on the negative. And this is not the last podcast episode, by the way. We're going to talk about that more a couple of minutes, but don't want no heart attacks. We're not done. We are going to close out the month of September for sure, but we do want to pursue personal projects. Keith, he's going through a lot of changes, so for the time being, he wants to sort of just live a personal life, and we totally respect that. And he's going to be here next week, and he's going to talk about all that. Ryan, why should I talk about you when you're here? You talk about you, Ryan.
All right. Well, before that, I just want to say, because I know I feel like I've been very negative with all the burnout stuff. I do want to say that this decision, like, it's like we didn't want to make this decision in the way, because the hardest thing about it was we didn't want to let everyone down. We felt like we were letting everyone down, because we know we're a part of your weekly routine, and you have no idea how much we appreciate that. Since we made this announcement, the people who have reached out to us, it's been crazy. Like, it's overwhelming, and it really does mean a lot to us, to know that you guys appreciate what we've done. And that's what made it difficult. Like it took a lot of talking and reflecting
And
to make this
tears.
decision. Yeah, because because we're like, do we want to cover WWE anymore? And our answers were clearly no, but we're like, but we can't stop, but we honestly feel that, it's not fair to you guys for us to continue if we're not passionate about what we do. We want to be passionate about the things we're doing, and that's why we want to move on to personal projects. What I'm going to do at starting probably early October, you can, follow my Twitter at the Ryan McNulty. So I'll be providing updates on that. But, gaming is something Juan and I are definitely going to be pursuing. And I want to get in. I need to step away from YouTube and podcasts for a little while, and I'm going to start regularly streaming on Twitch TV. So that's what I'm going to be doing, mostly playing single player games, but I'll play some multiplayer games and stuff like that. I think I'm going to start with Fallout New Vegas, and that's going to be in October. So, hey, if you want to still hang out and chat, that's where I'm going to be starting in October. And, if you want to throw the wrestling questions at me, I'll be happy to answer. I can't promise I'll be keeping up regularly, but I'll be happy to talk about whatever and hang out with you guys. We have a great community, and we've met a lot of great people. We've made a lot of friends, and this doesn't have to be goodbye. So if you still want to hang out, we'd love to chat with everyone.
Yeah, in my case, I've already been streaming on Twitch for a little while, through Press Pause TV. I usually stream before Raw. My plan is to now sort of lump up a little bit during Raw. So like that way, if maybe Raw's not doing good, or Ryan's streaming, or I'm streaming, or we're both streaming, it's like, hey, you have like two different options that are not, Monday Night Raw, and hopefully we can provide a little bit of enjoyment. Like, even a Press Pause TV became an affiliate recently on Twitch, and we got a couple of subs that are, some of our Byte That patrons. So, you guys can support us and the other ventures. I will also be staying on YouTube though, but I'll be doing not just gaming content. I have a pretty long-term plan for some projects related to wellness and health, that are going to be in podcast form. That's not going to be happening for the time being. I want to just take it slow, especially like, in the month of October, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster, not sitting with you guys on a Wednesday night. Like, that may be one of the biggest challenges that I'm going to have to like get used to, but I do have my entertainment channel, which is Epic JC. I'm going to relink epicjc.me to that. So if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, just search epicjc.me, and that'll take you to either my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. They both have the same content right now because, well, I just didn't really have time to work on other things right now. But that is one of the goals. And like Ryan said, you guys can just hang out with us the same way you've always been doing. It's going to be different, I know like Twitch is not as accessible if you're just, you got your phone on your pocket and things like that, but we are going to be online, and we will love for you guys to give us a shot with these different alternatives. Is this wrestling? No. Like, is there a chance that 80% of you are going to go like, I love you guys, I support you guys, but gaming and other things aren't my thing, so, I'll stick to another podcast. There's plenty of awesome people on YouTube like OKFade. You can listen to the New Age Insiders, a lot of great up-and-coming or already established people online that you want to support. Like, this is not goodbye. This is, we need to close this chapter for us, like for really showing that, honestly, WWE has a problem. So what's going to be happening right now is that this episode we're going to get to our SmackDown roster review, and as much of it as we can. But for the next 2 weeks, we are going to have special editions of the podcast. Everything is still going to be live. So if you want to hang out with us, hope you guys can make it. Remember, 7:15 or 7 p.m. Eastern time. So next week, September 20th, that is a Wednesday. It's going to be a fun episode. We're going to air our grievances about the WWE. So that's where we're just going to really lay it on thick. Those slaps of meat, they're going to be just filled with hate. It's going to be more specific context about
the Hate That podcast.
Yeah. So basically, there will be no mentions of Simon Dean because I got no hate towards Simon Dean or No Way Jose, so they're not going to be mentioned. But it's specific things that are happening about the WWE that we feel everybody should join in the conversation. So we actually have a hashtag going on, and that's going to be hashtag Vent That. So if you have any questions for next week's podcast, whether it be through email, through social media post, or on Twitter, use the hashtag #VentThat. And that's going to let us know that that's for that episode. Now,
yes, this is your chance to air your grievances about WWE, your pet peeves, all of those things. There's, you hate when Michael Cole says boss time on commentary. Let us know, because we're going to just get it all out of our system so that we can end on a positive note. So we're just gonna spend episode 213. It makes sense. It's got a unlucky 13 in the number. We're just going to just let it all out.
And then the final episode. It's really tough to say that, actually. Oh boy. The final episode of Byte That's going to be on Wednesday, September 27th. And that episode is going to be all about you guys. It's going to be a live chat, interactive. Seriously, the agenda is going to be thrown out the window. We don't know how long that episode's going to be. It's going to be an experience, not even so much a podcast episode, but if you guys have any questions, any anecdotes, favorite moments of Byte That, worst moments, things that you think we should discuss, great moments that really let you know like what's going on, you can use the hashtag. What was the hashtag that we said? It is hashtag BT Finale. So you can already start sending these questions in now. We're also going to be taking a live look at the YouTube chat. So traditionally for the live show, we look at the chat and we text respond. We don't really interact because for audio listeners, maybe you don't get the context as to what we're actually reacting to, so it gets a little awkward. But you do have 2 more episodes of the Byte That podcast. My Twitter handle, by the way, some of you do follow me there, is EpicJC. So if you look up EpicJC, you should pretty much find me on PSN, on Steam, everywhere you guys can play, online with us. And I think there was a question in chat about, interaction and collaboration. Like, hey, just because I'm streaming on Press Pause doesn't mean Ryan can join me there. He can't join me, or vice versa. Like if Ryan wants to recruit me, even just to hang out, maybe he's still playing a single player game, but you want some backup, or vice versa.
Yeah, we'll still definitely be collaborating.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if we didn't, do.
We're done, Ryan. We're done.
But for the sake of just being able to pursue our, there's different things we want to both tackle, and there's no reason why we can't work together when it makes sense, or when we just want to hang out. So that's totally open. But we want to kind of free up our time to be able to pursue our other passions.
Yeah, so we know this is very, very tough with us, even just sitting here right now. It's just crazy thinking, like the thing that I'm going to miss most about all of this is really just hanging out with you two. Every single Wednesday, didn't matter how good or bad Raw or SmackDown was or whatever. So many of you have let us know. Like, ironically enough, on Twitter, and especially our patrons, most people that support us long-term don't even watch WWE anymore, crazily enough. They tell us, like, we are burnt out, but you guys keeping us up is what we sort of like doing. So thank you guys. Seriously, the fact that for so long you've been supporting us, we truly do appreciate it. But we do have are we gonna do the No Mercy pay-per-view review?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually want to see if Braun Strowman wins the damn thing. So, and we're honoring our patrons and doing content for the remainder of the month. I would like to do one final pay-per-view review. So it'll be No Mercy. And then after the podcast on the 27th, obviously the YouTube channel and the podcast feed will stay up. We don't plan on taking down the YouTube channel at all. We're not sure what will happen eventually with the archive of the podcast feed, but it will stay up for at least, several months.
Yeah, exactly. And that is all thanks to our patrons. So we're gonna have that there. So if you guys want to archive that, you can do that. We're not gonna really have a BT update. So before we go to everything else, there are 2 cool things that are gonna be happening in the next 2 weeks. So patrons, you still do have early access, like right now. And I don't know why I actually did this. coming up this weekend, you're going to get the first time I ever commentated by myself an episode of CWE. So like for our like 400 subscriber celebration, we did something like that where I posted you and me doing commentary together, but this is my solo shot. CWE is something that Ryan and I did way back in 2004. So this is how long we've been collaborating, and that way you guys can see just how bad it was. And like, stay tuned to the frying pan thing. That dumb part, Ryan still pokes fun at me to this day. And before I forget, Ryan, talk to us about the Discord. What you mentioned with the patrons and all that.
Oh, right. So one of the best features we've had that we've really enjoyed with our Patreons is the Byte That Discord, where all the Patreon supporters, whether they were a one-time supporter or not, we're all welcomed to our Discord channel, where we there's chatting about wrestling. There's a voice channel if we're gaming together. So once at the end of the month, when we pause our Patreon, we're going to open that Discord up to everyone. So we'll remind you guys in the final episode. So anyone who still wants to hang out with the community, we're going to stay. The last thing the true survivor of Byte That is going to be our Discord channel. So anyone who wants to join that is more than welcome to join. There'll still be a slot for wrestling for anyone who wants to talk wrestling, and there's other chats as well that we'll have. And if we're hopping on a game, you can hop in that voice channel, play a game with us. So we're excited about that. For sure. So like I said, we'll remind you guys when that's going to be open to the public, and all you have to do is just send us a DM or whatever, and we'll make sure to get you an invite.
And then the other thing that's going to be happening, it's finally happening. One of the most requested things ever. So at one point, I think I spilled the beans on social media that we actually did an episode 0 of Byte That. Like, that was the thing where we just hit record to see what really happened, and we reviewed, things. And Ryan, Ryan is not the Ryan that he is now. Keith, oddly enough, out of the three of us, he's the same. Like, Keith has been consistent throughout. Like, I was way too serious, and you were way too calm. But Keith he was just Keith, man. It was episode 0. It's coming out next week, folks.
Yeah, if you can believe it, I was worse back then.
But yeah. Next week on Monday, patrons are going to get early access to episode 0 of the Byte That Wrestling podcast on the YouTube channel.
Been sitting unlisted for 4 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
It is officially,
man.
That was the official first upload we ever had going on. So then, not this Saturday, but the next one, you are going to get Friday or Saturday, depends, because we have the pay-per-view review. We are going to make that public for everybody on the YouTube channel. So if you want to check out episode 0, it's cringy. I was listening to it, and that was really unfortunate. And Joe, I'll see you on social media, man. One of our patrons challenged me to eat some Pop-Tarts and s'mores once. I went to the store today. They did not have those. I actually took a picture. I'm going to send you that afterwards. But I will be doing that on my personal channel. So as the weeks keep going on, we will make sure to, strongly promote where we're going to be at. So that way it's not goodbye. It's a new chapter. We're closing off this book. We're opening up another one. So now let's get to the things we got to get to for the rest of this episode. Last week you and I sat down before the hurricane happened, luckily, and we did a Raw and 205 Live roster review. So if you guys haven't listened to that, definitely take a look back at that last week. Before we go on any further, we obviously do want to give a shout out to our lovely gold patrons. We have a rotating cycle, and our last batch for the couple of weeks, we have Bo Seagrist, Derek Wilson, Oliver Batista, Liam Vincent, Peter D., and Tony Meier, who has been involved ever since we were little kids, all the way back in the day. Thanks to all of you. The archive is going to stay online for a couple of months. You can also get the Byte That shirts. Very important. If you go to whatamaneuver.net, we got a question on Twitter about that. You can still grab a Byte That shirt for the rest of the month. So maybe you can have that as a commemorative piece. So when Ryan becomes famous on Twitch, you can meet him in person at one of these conventions, man. He can sign one of them Byte That shirts. He's just going to spit on it.
It could be a collectible.
It is going to be
Probably
a collectible.
not, but it could.
Ryan, that's not how you sell. Don't you work in marketing? You should know, like, you sell the crap out of that shirt. Let's try this again.
World's worst marketer.
Yeah.
I can't help but be honest, man.
Too honest, man. But yeah, taking a quick look. We're not going to really review Raw or SmackDown this week, but want to give everybody's perspective about it. Twitter Byte That Cast is the social media account. Regarding Raw, 40% gave it a 3 out of 4. Then when it comes to SmackDown Live, 4 out of 4. 72% of people gave it blood, because that was quite the vicious headbutt from Kevin Owens to Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. How did you feel? Just pretty quick overview about WWE this week.
It was honestly another strong week. I mean, the Cena and Roman Reigns promos, I feel like have been really, really strong. And obviously SmackDown, they kind of pulled out all the stops, having the title matches. The tag team street fight was awesome. And obviously Vince McMahon just coming out and, being Vince McMahon, wanting to get hit as hard as possible so that he's bleeding. He's 72 years old and he's taking frog splashes and all that. Really, this kind of shows Vince has confidence in Kevin Owens. He wouldn't do this for just about anybody. So that's encouraging to see, because I mean, if you want to get people to really buy into Kevin Owens, I think this was a really effective way.
Yeah, I agree, man. And just talking a little bit about Raw, I loved how Braun Strowman completely no-sold, Brock Lesnar's German suplex. Like, that's one of the things that, even you were saying, like, there are some really good things to enjoy about the WWE right now. And Kevin Owens on SmackDown Live, he's doing awesome things. And then when it comes to Raw, they continue to build Braun Strowman properly. So Ryan's going to be leading that No Mercy review. If I or Keith can make it there live, I'm assuming that's going to be a live review, maybe the last live review we do. Going to make sure to talk about all that, so that way we can get that reaction about whether or not the monster among men got the final slab of meat. And that, my friends, is the Universal Championship. So, as promised, we're now going to be getting to our SmackDown Live roster review. What's going to be going down is that we have the WWE roster page here. We have the SmackDown side, and we're just going to go superstar by superstar and really just giving a quick overview about each one. How do we feel they have been treated? What have they've been doing up until this point? And then where do you think they're going? And once again, I see a lot of questions in chat about how WWE should be working on things. Send us emails. #vent, that can be the email title, or just send us a tweet and let us know, like, how do you feel about WWE? Just let it all out. Just be open about it. We'll be here for you. Ryan, you ready for the review, brother?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Okay, so first up, we have ourselves Aiden English. He's gone through some changes recently.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden English is definitely doing a lot better since Simon Gotch has left, and kind of finding his niche as a mid-card guy. He's getting some wins along the way. He kind of started out as a jobber, but I do see a lot of potential in his gimmick. It's really like just a great mid-card thing. I think at some point he should team with Elias Sampson so they can be the singer and musician, although Sampson sings too. I'd like to see something. Maybe at like Survivor Series, there's a moment between the two of them. I think that'd be really awesome. But I see Aiden English, when maybe right now he's not a huge priority, but I think in the future his stock is definitely going to be rising.
Yeah, I think that he does have a ceiling, but I think a lot of people discarded him already, and WWE's kind of showing, hey, maybe we're not done with him. So I would like to see him in sort of a Intercontinental Championship situation. I do see him sort of eventually becoming a similar to The Miz, where he's really good on the microphone, completely different, but he's able to really captivate the crowd by just, doing his singing thing, which worked in NXT, and fortunately it's working now. And next we go over to the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
AJ Styles, I mean, what what can be said other than he's the best in-ring performer in the company. And, I'd like to see him eventually step out of the US title level and move back up to the main event level. I think SmackDown could really benefit from having AJ Styles back in the main event, but he's kind of doing the John Cena like thing of really elevating the US title and making it feel really important. And I think that is a valuable service, but we only have we only have so much time with AJ Styles if we really think about it. And if you only have him for 2, 3 more years, I mean, obviously he could go longer than that, but AJ Styles in his prime right now, how many years do we honestly have? I don't know. I think you can't wait too long just having him in the mid card. I would like to see him move back up to the main event, relatively soon.
I actually hope he kind of stays there. I've always been a fan of the mid card down rather than the upper card up. So just have him there, keep doing what he does. He's having great matches. Just this week he had a pretty solid match with Ty Dillinger. So just keep him being there. He elevates everybody more there than if he was in the main event scene, because I don't think he'd have as much of a variety for his opponents. And next up, Baron Corbin. Not sure where he's headed long term, but what do you think about Baron?
I think Baron Corbin was, he was obviously getting a really strong push, but I think he's been slightly exposed. And he's not as good as maybe people thought he was supposed to be. And I think he's kind of in the right place right now, because it didn't, if you put the WWE title on Baron Corbin right now, I mean, granted, we have Jinder Mahal as champion, but I just don't think he's quite there. And I think him losing the Money in the Bank was one of the best things that could happen for him, because now he's gonna really have to scratch and claw to make it back. And if he does, then he probably deserves to be champion if he can really elevate himself and really improve and get to that main event level. Then I think he earned it. If he had just cashed in Money in the Bank and won, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say that he earned it based on his performances. So he's got a lot to prove. And it's really, I think this is a big sink or swim time for him. And, he's getting a chance with this feud with AJ, and that this is really time for him to prove himself.
Yeah, all I'll say is that I wasn't a big fan of him in NXT or him getting called up. Eventually, he started winning me over. But as you said, I do feel like he's been exposed. I feel like he has a very solid limit, and when you give him a microphone and it's like off the live crowd, it's fine. So he could be the next Sean O'Haire, where Sean O'Haire, they saw a lot of potential in him, but when you put him in front of a crowd, he didn't really warrant that attention, and ultimately, that's going to be the make or break point for him. So next up, and we have a lot of people, so we'll try to be as precise as we can about this. We have Straight Fire Becky Lynch.
I love Becky Lynch. I feel like she just hasn't been around that much. I don't know. I really thought they were going to build the women's division around her, but it seems like after her feud with Alexa Bliss, she's been relatively forgotten. And that's unfortunate, because I really like her. I'd like to see her used more and be more involved. It just feels like she's not doing anything.
Yeah, I think she's in the level where, let's go back to the circus analogy I mentioned at the beginning. You see Becky Lynch, you know who she is, you know what she's all about, and I think WWE is complacent about that. They're like, okay, so you know who she is, so why do we need to push her or really do much else when this has already been laid over? She already had a cage match. It's like, we already built her up, so that's fine. But as to where it's going to go down the line, I honestly don't really see it changing all that much. Now, one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions, they want it back, the New Day, so we're going to be talking about Big E.
Big E, I've talked about Big E in the past, where I really want to see a singles career for Big E. I love the New Day. The New Day doesn't have to break up. I just would like to see them pursue singles titles in the future. I love the New Day staying together and still being able to do other things. Like we haven't seen that in a long time with the faction. And I mean, the New Day's done the tag team thing for so long. And I know they just won the titles again, right?
Yep.
From the
Yeah,
Usos.
last night.
So it doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. So I still see the New Day being a thing, a year down the line. But at some point, I think they have to take a chance on Big E because this guy, I think, could really be a great main event guy. I really do.
Yeah, for this, if there's something that, despite the fact that I'm going to be done watching for the time being, I would totally tune in for this. I've said it time and time again. I think that Big E is so talented, and they don't have to break up the New Day. Just have him, become elevated. Either him, Xavier, or Kofi. Hell, I would love a triple threat. This is what I would love long term, and then the next year, a triple threat number one contenders match between all three members of the New Day. Don't break up. Just be out of pure respect. It's just a matter of like, hey, the three of us have been doing so good. The WWE rewarded us with this match. Whoever wins becomes the number one contender, and everybody's going to support him. Don't do any shady, backstabby stuff. I think that is the way to go about this with everybody. And then up next, the man that was recently called up, so he's fortunately part of this roster review, Glorious Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode, man, I think his stock can only go up. WWE sees a lot in Bobby Roode. Am I the biggest fan of Bobby Roode matches? No, but I think he's a good performer, and when he walks out, you feel his confidence, and I think his presence really commands the look and feel of a star. And I think Bobby Roode is going to succeed in that. I really see him as WWE champion in the not too distant future.
Yeah, same thing. He's basically this generation's Triple H. He's the more basic wrestler, not in a bad way, but he's very solid in the ring. He's a great storyteller. He doesn't have to do a lot to really get the crowd to react to what's going on. So easily WWE champion, and once he goes up, I don't think that man is ever going to go back down. Now, completely skipping over Byron Saxton because who cares? We're going to talk about Carmella, Fabulous. Yes? Yes?
I think if Alexa Bliss was the breakout, I shouldn't even say breakout star, because then good thing Keith isn't here, right? If Alexa Bliss was, the breakout performer of 2016, then I think Carmella was the breakout female for 2017. Her confidence on the microphone, I think, is great. Her in-ring work isn't the greatest thing in the world, but when you have the charisma and the confidence, and the wrestling skills to just get through the match, I think that's more than enough to be successful. James Ellsworth has been an amazing asset for her, and she really is the perfect person to be holding that Money in the Bank. And if Corbin was unsuccessful, well, they better have Carmella be successful, especially with her being the first female Money in the Bank holder. So I'm looking forward to her eventual women's title reign.
I see nothing but great potential about her. I think the biggest challenge with the women's division is that eventually they almost do need a secondary championship, because now that they are building up these divisions, is showing like what happens once you become champion. You only lose it and then win it back, and then you turn face or heel only to then win it back. So I think the case with Carmella is like what happens once she wins it. Their women's roster is not nearly as big as the men's, but you only have one championship. So like that's the trouble. You look at Naomi, so now she's losing even though they were building her up for months. And that's unfortunately going to be the fate for anybody in the women's division, especially on SmackDown Live. Next, we have Chad Gable, now part of a tag team with Shelton Benjamin.
Chad Gable, I see him and Shelton I feel like there'll probably be a feud between them down the line, but both of these guys are super talented. They're fun to watch as a tag team. So yeah, I guess we might as well just cover Shelton too while
Yeah, yeah.
we're, probably to save time, we should do the tag teams together. So it's awesome to have Shelton back because I mean I haven't followed his career since leaving WWE, so it's like legitimately been 10 years since I've seen Shelton Benjamin. So that's cool. And Chad Gable, I know whenever he decides to do his singles career, I feel like there's a lot of potential in him. I see a lot in him, more so than Jason Jordan, because I think Chad Gable's got more charisma when it comes to promos, and that's going to be a bigger uphill battle, I think, for Jason Jordan, which is why it helps to have Kurt Angle help build you up.
Yeah, Chad Gable, ever since I first saw him in NXT, before I even saw him wrestling, I knew he had unlimited potential. I think that his height is going to be a big limitation long term, but at the same time, you look at the roster now, people are getting shorter and shorter, so it's actually not going to be that bad. But yeah, I see a rivalry between him and Shelton to really bring him up. Shelton maybe becoming the bad guy because, well, he's already had a career, right? Like, Chad Gable's really the one that you want to break out. That, and I'll just lump up Jason Jordan now because, like, I know he's a part of the Raw side, but
we already covered Raw.
Yeah, no, but I just want to say quickly, like, when it comes to the debate of who's going to do better, come on, man, it's going to be Chad. Like, it's not even funny. Chad has the charisma that Jason Jordan wish he had 50% of. So with that, and that was harsh but true. And that we go to Charlotte Flair. I don't know why I said that as Dusty, but yeah.
Charlotte didn't, I know obviously she's taken some time away to be supporting her father and everything, but putting that aside, I mean, there's no other word for Charlotte's SmackDown run than disappointment. She just hasn't really been utilized pretty much at all, and which is crazy to think. Like when the first draft happened, there were so many people who went to SmackDown and flourished, and then after the shakeup, a lot of the people we were expecting big things from just haven't panned out. We'll get to Rusev. Don't you worry about that.
Especially next week, probably.
Charlotte's just been so insignificant. You didn't think... I never would have thought with Charlotte moving to SmackDown that we'd be looking at Naomi and Natty as women's champion. Like that was not something I saw happening at all. We really thought that Charlotte would be commanding the division. And although I was okay with them, taking a break from Charlotte being in the spotlight, I was still expecting her to have a lot more involvement in SmackDown.
Charlotte got launted. By that, I mean they both had this really unique mystique that none of the other women had. Like Charlotte, she looked like she owned that ring. Whether you liked her promos or not, which I've been very critical of, you could not doubt that she looked like the standout. She looked like a true superstar, just like Lana as a manager had this character that was second to none. What did they do? They changed that, and now Lana's just another woman in the roster. She's not a superstar. And then Charlotte became, hey, look at me, I'm friends with Becky Lynch. We do the pinky thing. And that was it. It's like you've literally drowned 2 years-ish of this build-up of Charlotte on Raw, and like the big deal is just like she's in the back burner. What happens? Like I mentioned earlier, it's a circus. You already know who Charlotte is. You're already going to cheer her. You're already going to buy her merchandise. She's already an actual Barbie doll, just like with Becky Lynch and everybody else actually released that. You don't need to do a lot more. They actually got their own Barbie dolls now. It's like, I think you've made it, right? Not too bad. So next up, we got Chris Jericho. I wish he had a Ken doll.
Anyway, Chris Jericho. I mean, Jericho is Jericho, man. He's just doing Jericho things. He comes in when he needs to, and he helps elevate people. Jericho's awesome. He's really selfless and is helping younger talent and then pursuing his other, doing the Fozzy thing. Jericho's Jericho. Wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, for this, actually, you covered it basically. I just want to quickly bring up, I have been reading, I should say, Jericho's new book. No is a 4-letter word. I highly recommend it. I'll bring it up, at some point here. If not on Byte That, on my personal channel, I will be reviewing the book, and it's very motivational. And it's like you said, Jericho is the jack of all trades, master of most. He defies, right? It's like, who wants to be a wrestler or in a rock star when you can be both? You can be the owner of a podcast network, like your own network within a podcast network. You can have 4 books and they're all a hit. It's like, this man is a national treasure, not just Stone Cold. Jericho really has transcended wrestling, not on the Dwayne Johnson level, but definitely built up his own niche. So then up next, moving on to the superstar. So we got to skip a couple here. We have Dolph Ziggler, who had quite the showing on SmackDown Live.
Oh, here we go. Dolph Ziggler. So I was definitely thinking, man, this Dolph Ziggler thing, I can totally understand it. I mean, hey, we're ending this podcast because there's a lot about WWE that we don't enjoy. And Dolph Ziggler was trying to kind of tap into that, a lot of the character issues. The thing is, this proved to me, because I see so much potential in the character that Dolph Ziggler is trying to do, yet I haven't really found his promos the last 2 weeks all that compelling. I'm like, this was his chance really to finally, he's getting the time to do promos. I think this is something he's wanted for forever. And honestly, I'm not that impressed. I really am not. And I'm starting to understand why Dolph Ziggler has never quite been the priority that fans for many years wanted him to be. Is he great in the ring? Yes. But I don't feel like the promos are all that compelling. I myself really wanted to see Dolph Ziggler succeed years ago. And not that I would wish it against him. I just don't see it anymore. I really don't see it. So, maybe all this time the WWE higher ups were right. Ziggler just doesn't have it to be that guy.
Yeah, like a lot of what he's saying is entertaining, but it's also like the Roman Reigns Cena thing. Like when you just sort of break the fourth wall and start talking about characters, everybody's going to be tuning in and saying, "Wow, did you check out that Dolph Ziggler
But
promo?"
even then, I don't think he's even that badly. He's just trying to say all you care about is the showmanship and all that. And I can totally see where he's coming from. And I think there is something to tap into. But it's think about Ziggler doing this promo. Now think about if you took the exact same topic and gave that to CM Punk.
He does it. He does the same promo. He does the same thing.
Yeah,
they're talking really fast, yelling a little bit.
Each and every one of you. Yep. It still comes off like a cliche heel. It's not like something. Like I said, give that topic to CM Punk and watch him just tear it apart and really just make it awesome. And I hate to be that guy that's always harping on CM Punk, but that was what he was great at. And I feel like, man, if you gave that same character to the right guy, I think it could really, really work.
So up next we have Epico Cologne. So logically we move on to Eric Rowan.
Hey, if there's one subreddit you should still browse, it's r/Eric Rowan, man. Yeah. he's still got a faithful crew. Is he still injured from a year ago? I don't know.
No clue.
Eric Rowan, him and Luke Harper. I guess we should just cover them. Well, no, we'll wait for Luke Harper. Eric Rowan, man. How have the mighty fallen, going from main event in WrestleMania with The Rock to never even being on TV. I don't know. I don't mind Eric Rowan. I think there's always a spot for the guy, but he just hasn't been around. I think he's still injured.
I think it's about as much as we should talk about him. So up next, let's talk about Breezango. Let's bring them up together. And I want to kick this one off by saying that they've been doing excellent. Props to WWE actually this week. They integrated Breezango into 205 Live. I don't know if you saw this, but Drew Gulak has been knocking it out of the park in 205 Live. He actually had a picture of King dressed in Wakanda from Tekken 7 as a part of a PowerPoint presentation. He's doing PowerPoint presentations like actual slides in 205 Live. It's
That's
freaking
kind of amazing.
genius for his character. So he was talking about like wrestlers not dressing appropriately. So obviously, who comes out? Fashion police. So they're able to like actually put in SmackDown roster members to 205 Live. They make it work. They're highly entertaining. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, this is one of the few cases where, as you know, talking about the whole circus show, as long as you bring something new to your act, keep doing it. And they've been able to do that.
Yeah. It seems like they're figuring out 205 Live more and more every week.
Yeah.
It's crazy that Enzo is the first one to do this, but I think it was actually great that Enzo fought The Miz, even though he's in 205 Live in the cruiserweight division. He actually fought someone on the main roster. It's like, what of all people, why is Enzo the one to start that trend? But that's still opening the door, and that's the stuff that needs to happen. But you know, it sounds like from what you have been telling me, 205 Live's kind of like the new SmackDown, where you know SmackDown used to be the place where you could kind of get away with things because you know nobody was really paying too much attention to it. Now it seems like that type of freedom is on 205 Live.
You know, like if I ever do go back to watching WWE, it's definitely NXT and 205 Live. So they've been doing pretty great with that show. So moving on up, we have the 2016 Breakout Superstar of the Year, James Ellsworth, the big hog, Ryan. Just lay it out there, unleash the beast.
James Ellsworth, I think, is doing the perfect role. Maybe I'd like to see him do a few more matches. But other than that, I love his pairing with Carmella. I think it's great.
Yeah, same. He's highly entertaining what he's doing. He's in the background. I actually agree that I disagree and think he shouldn't wrestle just because we saw enough of that. So save that for like a WrestleMania moment. Yes, I'm actually serious. Save that for a WrestleMania moment. Up next, we have the Usos, who just lost the tag team titles on SmackDown Live.
The Usos are the best thing going in the tag team division right now across, I think, all tag teams. They're finally comfortable on the microphones since their heel turn. They've just been amazing, and just keep elevating that tag team division. I mean, that's the great thing we can say about post shakeup SmackDown is that what used to be SmackDown's biggest weakness is now one of their greatest strengths, and a lot of that is on the backs of the Usos and when they turned heel. I mean, they've always been great in the ring, but now they finally have the characters that go along with that, and it's awesome. I love it.
I love it as well. I think the challenge is that they've already established those characters, and if you notice, it's just sort of been, now this is what we are, right? So like the problem is, how do you go back to establishing what is already there? I think that's a problem in wrestling as a whole when you try to have too much story-driven stuff. That like, how do you evolve a bad guy when the bad guy's job is to put the good guy over, right? Like look at Bray Wyatt. Like conversation for maybe next week, but I think that's the situation that the Usos really got to watch out for. So up next we have the modern day Ramaha. Jinder Mahal, man.
So hey man, Jinder almost went through an entire promo without doing the foreign heel thing, and then of course he had to resort to the foreign heel thing at the end. But you know, was his promo against Shinsuke this week the strongest promo ever? No, but it was like, oh my god, he's actually not just doing the same old promo. He's actually trying to do something different. Yeah, Jinder Mahal, in a troll fashion, it's hilarious to me that he's WWE champion, and that's why I was, I supported it, and I was very open to giving Jinder a chance because it was cool to just see someone rise up so quickly and just out of nowhere win a championship. It's really just not been that compelling. His ring work, I think, is okay, but it's just, I don't think his performances, especially in promos and his character, they're not a main event level to me. But I'm glad he was given the chance. I just don't see him as that caliber. I mean, JBL, when he got his opportunity, I think he really seized it. And people did really hate him and got got a lot of the same heat that Jinder's getting now, but I really feel like JBL by the end definitely felt like a main event guy. I don't think I feel that same way about Jinder.
JBL was vicious. The era was different to like he could back it up in the ring, where Jinder still just wrestles. Like ultimately he goes into that ring, but you never feel like he's trying to kill somebody or be the vicious bad guy. He's just wrestling and hoping to retain the championship, which I think is like the big difference. What do I see?
He doesn't put that muster.
Yeah,
into,
man.
You know,
like just gotta lay it in there. So what do I see with Jinder? I actually hope I get to see a WWE 24 documentary on this. Like I'm hoping they documented like who made the decision to push Jinder. I would love to hear that actual response backstage of, hey, you know who's our next champion? Jinder Mahal, man.
Yeah.
And then it's just like 30 minutes of laughter and then 10 minutes of actual documentary.
He's got the look. The look is down. Like
Definitely.
When he comes out and walks down the ramp, damn, he looks like a damn wrestling champion. So I'll give him that, but it falls apart once the microphone is put to his mouth, and the matches are fine, but not what I would call an amazing main event level match.
Agreed. So up next, we're going to be talking about Kevin Owens.
Owens is Owens, man. I like what he's doing. He always stays towards the top of the card. This is crazy because I feel like Owens never goes very long without holding a championship. So it's interesting that he's kind of finally stepped away from focusing on a title and is in the Shane McMahon feud. And it's been the most compelling part about SmackDown for a couple weeks now. So this is a nice kind of refreshing time for Kevin Owens to be doing something different. He's going to be going into a Hell in a Cell match with Shane. You know, some crazy-ish is going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Owens, I think, is going to continue to be a major part of SmackDown Live for sure.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think that Kevin Owens has awesome potential on SmackDown Live. Don't make him champion. The same way, like, I love that AJ Styles is sort of in the middle upper card. Have Kevin Owens not be involved in the championship scene, and that we have like a full TV show packed with characters that you love, but you distribute them. You don't just have them all riding at the top and then a lot of nothing in the middle. So keep doing that, and yeah, like that Hell in a Cell match.
But who would you have
awesome.
if you could have anyone as WWE champion right now? Who would it be?
Realistically, I would totally have either somebody from the New Day, or I would even have.
But like, okay, taking the roster as it's built right now.
Oh, Bobby Roode.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, like, because it's not my immediate answer because he just got called up. But if you wanted to have like the presence of a superstar, a little bit more enjoyable in the ring, he's versatile. Definitely somebody like Bobby Roode would be my pick. Up next, we have Kofi Kingston, tag team champion.
Kofi Kingston, for a while, this guy, before the New Day, this guy was just floating around. So I'm glad Kofi in the New Day has just kind of really found himself again. And, we need more New Day promos, I think. But Kofi, I wouldn't be sad if he stayed in a tag team with Xavier Woods, if Big E went to like pursuing a singles title down the line or whatever. I mean, I think the New Day tag team thing is still going to be going on for a long time. But, it'd be cool to see him in a singles career again too. But I do enjoy his tag team work as well.
I like Kofi, baby. And I would like him to get a championship opportunity. Okay, Ryan got triggered, clearly. Baby! Look at Ryan's face.
Don't even do it right, man.
Okay, Ryan, you try it.
It'll be like, baby! You got to draw out the E.
Baby! Like that.
It's good enough. Yeah. Much better.
Let's talk about the Ascension, man. Gonna get some of them donuts, some of that pie. Do you like the Ascension pie, Ryan? Do you want some of that Ascension pie?
Now that's what we associate with the Ascension.
Pie.
It's like, oh yeah, get donuts, pour some maple syrup on a log.
You know who else talked about food? The Rock.
What? Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what I would like for the Ascension to do
Cooking
is
show.
to never wrestle again and just stay in the fashion files. That's it. If you, I like the Ascension in the fashion files. Stay in the fashion files.
That would not be bad, but realistically, I hope like they're able to keep the super serious getup, like the outfit, but then just keep being like, I just want some donuts, man. Like, I'm cool. Honestly, have them gain weight, like progressively. Keep them in the same outfit. They just keep eating and like managed by Arn Anderson, who all he does is feed them donuts. I love this idea.
They don't even wrestle. They don't even wrestle.
No. I love that idea, man.
Hashtag if one booked WWE.
It would go down the drain, but I would at least watch it. Lana.
Can she be Rusev's manager again?
And I think that is about as far as we want to go with that, because realistically, that's what she was great at. They're trying the Tamina thing, not working.
We'll see. I mean, Tamina's another one who I've always been like, man, she might have something if they really give her a chance. We'll see about that. I'm really not sold so far, though.
Neither am I, man. Okay, Ryan, do you believe in the herp?
Oh my god, I don't want to believe. I don't want no herp.
What about Luke Harper?
Luke Harper, get this man back on TV. I mean, to think going into WrestleMania, there was a chance he was gonna be in the damn WWE title match. Now he's nowhere to be seen, and it's sad.
It is very unfortunate.
Feels bad, man. Luke Harper, this man. I mean, look at this man. He's everything.
He's beautiful.
Get this man back on TV. He's beautiful, man. He's beautiful. I mean, when he switched to that black tank top, like, damn, man.
If you built the superstar from the ground up, he will look like Luke Harper. Son. Oh, man. Up next, let's bundle this bundle of joy together. Maria and Mike Kanellis. I don't know I don't know who they pissed off backstage. It seems like the first 2 weeks, it's like, yeah, we're totally going to be doing this. And it's just like, well, here's another villain that's going to be losing to people. That seems like he's the new, oh my God, he's the new Aiden English.
Well, I was going to say, he kind of got like Tyler Breezed, where, remember when Tyler Breeze first came in, it was like, oh, he had like a little bit of a feud, and then he just like dropped way down. So I think it's a similar thing where he's gonna have to find something to then get brought back up. But I mean, yeah, I know you bring in Mike and Maria, and then it's like, yep, no, we're done already. It's amazing how WWE can really sour on people really quickly. But it could be related to some sort of backstage heat thing. I remember, like, I forget who I heard on a podcast. It might have actually been Ryback, so take it for what you will, about the whole Tyler Breeze. Yeah, the whole Tyler Breeze thing of what got him the heat that eventually like made him lose his push. And it was over something really ridiculous where someone said he could leave, and then like he left, and somebody else who saw him leave didn't know about it, like didn't know he was like told he could leave early. So he got heat for something stupid like that, and then lost his push because of it. So it wouldn't surprise me if something similar happened to them. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely something there for that, but they're getting crapped on right now.
So up next, we're going to talk about the Hype Bros. We're going to talk about Mojo Rawley, baby, and Zack Ryder. Ryan, for this one, you can only speak in hype. Don't talk to me normal Ryan voice. Ryan, get hype. Are you hyped for this? Are you hyped for this, Ryan? Ryan, get hyped. Get hyped, man. Ryan.
I ain't hyped for the Hype Bros.
Aw.
I ain't hyped.
He ain't hyped.
Say it back. There we go. Exactly. That's really how you get people going. I ain't hype. I ain't hype. Yeah. It looks like there probably is going to be a Zack Ryder heel turn that'll shock the world.
Whoa.
But I don't know. I feel like Mojo should be the one to turn heel because I don't see people thrilled about this like uber babyface Mojo
People
Rawley.
love golden retrievers, Ryan.
It's true. It's true. You know, if only he was fluffier, then maybe people would like him. But maybe I should bring a tennis ball. Maybe they banned beach balls, but maybe I should bring a tennis ball to the next WWE show I go to and just throw it down the ramp and see if he chases after it.
Oh my God! Somebody please Photoshop that. We'll retweet it. And then now we're gonna be talking about Naomi. Feel the glow, feel the sting. Yeah, it's like Stacker 2. No.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's an old school reference there. I don't even know if they can still sell that because it had some like ephedra thing in it that's now banned by the FDA. So rip Stacker 2. I wonder if you're still out there.
Just
so Naomi,
a lonely Ken out there crying on eBay.
Yeah. So Naomi, I liked her run as women's champion. I think she had a good time in the spotlight. She's put in a lot of years for WWE. And I don't mind her kind of taking a little bit more of a back seat in the women's division for a little while. She kind of had her time. You want to freshen things up and keep different people in the mix. So I think she's someone you can go back to. But for now, I'd like to see other women on SmackDown highlighted.
I just think it's kind of sucky that they spent so much time building her up, Orlando and all that, and now it's just a matter of, well, much like every other person that I've been talking about that I've been disappointed, they already got up there, so it's perfectly fine to just knock them right down and then just forget about them.
It's kind of a weird thing in wrestling of like we always chase after the shiny new toy, and then once we get what we want, it's like, okay, who's next? Naomi wins the title, don't care anymore. Who's the next? Now it's all about Carmella. We want to see Carmella be champion.
So really, going back to the golden retriever comparison, a golden retriever, you throw that tennis ball. What's he gonna do with the tennis ball, Ryan? He's gonna give you that tennis ball, so you throw it back, and then what does he want?
You know what he's gonna do?
What?
He's gonna bite that tennis ball, walk over to you like he's gonna give it to you, and you're like, oh, okay, you want me to throw it again? And then you go to pull the tennis ball, and he's like growling and keeps it in his mouth, and you're like, you just came over to me to deliver this tennis ball, and now you won't give it to me? What the hell, man?
Well,
I don't know how that applies to WWE, but that's what happens.
Okay, so ideally, every superstar should be like a golden retriever. Like, no, man, don't take this away from me. I had to run over there, you bastard.
WWE is like a golden retriever, and that's all you need to know.
Yep. Now we talk about cats. Let's talk about Natalya.
Natalya, no, I'm happy to see her win the women's championship. She definitely deserves it. She was basically the women's revolution before the women's revolution. And who started the women's revolution? I think we should all keep investigating. I think we should never stop trying to figure out who it truly was. Yeah. No, I'm happy to see her getting a run. But hey, she won it now, so who cares? Who's next? No. I like that she's champion, and I can't wait to see her get cashed in on.
So Nikki Bella's part of this, but really she's not an active part of the roster, although like she's in Dancing with the Stars. And then we have Primo Colon, so logically we just got to skip over him. So let's just get to Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton.
He hits a mean drop kick. He beat Hardcore Holly on his SmackDown debut.
And you know what? I always appreciate a good RKO out of nowhere. Orton, it's weird because when he's kind of in these middle, like these upper card feuds or whatever, it's really, when Randy Orton's seemingly kind of doing not much, he's really not that interesting to watch on TV. When he's in a high profile program, there's definitely times where Orton can shine through. I mean, he had a fantastic match with Nakamura, so he does rise to the occasion. But when Orton's not in something super important, he doesn't really bring his A game and is generally not that compelling. Orton is obviously still a very valuable asset to have to any roster, and is definitely doing a good job of trying to elevate the younger guys. So, I think Orton should, stay in his kind of role that he's in now.
Going back to the circus analogy, he's one of the main acts that's been going for 10 years. Like, for this Christmas, Nicole and I are going to New York. We're going to check out Aladdin and Broadway. Orton is like that long-term thing on Broadway that you want to go to because everybody's talked about it for so long. And it's like, once you see Orton, it's like, okay, well, I've seen him. He doesn't really bring all that much to the table. I mean, even he himself has said he's a pretty safe worker when it comes to like really not thinking too much outside the box. Them headlocks are pretty sexy. Really, that's about as far as it goes. So speaking of sexiness, let's talk about Rusev, Ryan. What do you think about Rusev's nipples?
They're very compelling.
Which one's better, left or right?
I'm gonna jump to. We just got a super chat from Overcooked Bacon. I'm gonna go to that to change the subject. But he says, "Thank you guys for all that you've done. Excited to come along for the journey for your next chapters. Thank you, man. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
It really means the world to us. So thank you so much. All right.
You know what also means the world to us? Rusev's nipples."
always. Man, Rusev. I mean, what happened, man? It didn't quite turn out the way we thought it would, man. I still hope something will happen with Rusev because the dude's got all the talent in the world. His promos, when he's got these scripted promos backstage, I wasn't really feeling it. But I mean, when this guy is allowed to kind of like let loose a little bit, have some, show us some sense of humor, the guy is amazing and super entertaining. So just take this guy off the leash and let him go. And I feel like he could really be something.
I'm telling you, man, the dog.
Take the golden retriever off the leash. You know what happens if you took a golden retriever off the leash and
he would pee everywhere.
Go. He'd do that, and then he'd just bolt down the street
and hump a chihuahua.
You'd never see him again. I don't know if that relates to WWE in any way, but that's what a damn golden retriever would do. And you know what? I love me some golden retrievers, but I don't think I would own one, folks. I'd get a different dog.
I think you talked about Rusev better than I could. So let's go to Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn's almost like a chihuahua. He's like barking a lot because he doesn't stop talking. He says, "Let's go." Then pops his shoulder. Yeah,
one of those yappy dogs.
the yappy. That's his new
Sami
nickname.
Zayn, he's like a chihuahua. If a chihuahua could do a blue thunder bomb, you know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah. Now, Sami Zayn, once again, a guy who's like, I thought he would be a more significant part of the SmackDown Live roster. I thought he'd be a higher priority. I'd like to see more from Sami Zayn for sure.
You don't let me finish drinking my water, man. I had to drink water after that.
A little bit longer.
But Sami Zayn, he is somebody like they finally found a good character for him, which really seems to be himself based on like what people talk about him in podcasts. He likes to talk a lot, doesn't really shut up. Like, keep doing that a lot, but I don't want to keep going back to the circus thing, but I feel like this is where he's going to be. He is doomed to be the Marty Jannetty to Kevin Owens' Shawn Michaels. Even though they were never a tag team, you can see a lot of similarities where people see Sami Zayn and they think Kevin Owens and the other way around because of their history, right? And you can see, like, when you think Kevin Owens, you think main event level. When you really think about Sami Zayn's position in the company, do you feel he's at the top? No. Where does he fit? He's that great opponent for Kevin Owens to beat, so then Kevin Owens can move on to bigger, better things. And unless they really work around that, don't think that's going to change all that much, unfortunately, because he is incredibly talented. Nakamura versus Sami Zayn in NXT, one of my favorite matches in recent history. And now, let's talk a little bit about the Singh brothers. Let's put them up together. And just going to say, like, man, I don't know what their stats are going to be in the next. No, they're not in the next WWE game. But if they were, their stats have to be like 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're barely above J&J Security on the WWE power level list. If WWE was like Dragon Ball Z, yeah, I'd like to see them eventually be a tag team, but their credibility really needs to be restored because everyone just beats the living hell out of them, and they never seem to really get in any significant offense. So I mean, there's definitely that chance down the line, but they got some work ahead of them to build them up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They have a lot of work to really go before like the Singh brothers are bigger than anything else. Ultimately, I think they're going to be the next J&J Security. You got so used to them. What happened afterwards? Gone. Sorry, Singh brothers. Yeah. It's just what happens. We already talked about Shelton Benjamin, so next up we have Shinsuke Nakamura. Ryan, put the.
I hit my mic.
Okay, this has to sound really wrong for audio listeners.
Sorry, we're doing the Nakamura thing,
yes,
where I look like I'm having a seizure, basically.
Oh, I needed to laugh.
Nakamura, man. I like Nakamura. Juan?
Yeah, I like Nakamura too. You know, I've said it so many times. So I love his character. His wrestling really doesn't really do anything for me. You know, people talk about strong style. I've watched a lot of New Japan wrestlers that I just enjoy watching a lot in the ring. I loved his match with Sami Zayn. Ryan's just dying over there. But I think that he is somebody that lives based on his mystique and previous work. I think people like Nakamura, not for what he does right now, but because they know he's done things, right? I think like if the Bullet Club came into the WWE.
Like that cool New Japan mystique to him, you know?
Yeah, it's like the Bullet Club could go to WWE, feud with freaking Sin Cara and Tom Phillips. And people will love that. And like they will be blinded.
That'd be a hell of a tag team.
It would be. Tom Phillips would probably be the better one. But people will be so focused on what they did before that they would still say the Bullet Club was awesome when it's like in WWE, what has Nakamura really shown? I think his matches have been passable. They've been above average, but they haven't been this 5-star thing.
I just love the he could feud with Sin Cara and Tom Phillips. Oh, that was just beautiful.
Book it.
We've got officially off the rails.
Book it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay. Who's next? Sin Cara's next.
Oh my god. Well, Sin Cara, okay, I think there's a lot of potential for him to be in a tag team with Tom Phillips. It's perfect. Right? Like, Sin Cara's got all the aerial skills, and Tom Phillips can do that, like, split-legged stand like no other. He can make anyone in the world taller than him, and that's a special ability that should not go underestimated.
Just estimated. Oh, yeah. Sin Cara, I love you. You have brought us plenty of great moments in wrestling. You fell off a ladder. And like
Wait, wasn't that Kalisto?
No, like the one where he got killed. Like the ladder got cut in half on the outside. The WrestleMania one. It's easy to forget Sin Cara moments. I don't blame you. So talk to me about
top 5 Sin Cara moments.
Oh man.
When he broke his finger and quit the match.
Him signing his contract. Talk to me about Tamina.
I kind of touched on her a little bit earlier, but I like that she's getting a chance. So this is really like this. She's finally getting a chance. She's really has not gotten one before. Apparently she's a lot older than I thought too. Isn't she in like her 40s or something? I kind of have to. I'm gonna look this up right now.
Ron doing
Let's
some of
see.
that professional wrestling research, folks.
Yeah. Professional research. She's 39 years old. So
you were close.
It's it's now or never. So let's see how this goes. So far,
Yeah, I've never been a fan of her. Like, it seems like every time they have given her a shot, she does decent super kicks that don't really get that much height, and that is about as far as she goes. But hey, she's Samoan, so I guess that means they got to push her. Like, I don't get it. I honestly don't see the big deal of Tamina in any way. She doesn't look menacing. She's not athletic. She's bad on the microphone. Team her up with Sin Cara, and then make that tag team.
Hey, if you make fun of Tamina, you're gonna look like James Ellsworth.
Oh, nice promo, Tamina. Hey, talk to me about Tom Phillips. He's not a superstar, but he is on this list. What is your favorite thing about Tom Phillips aside from the split?
Mainly the Instagram DMs, to be honest with you, you know?
Well, do you want him to do something with your face?
Of course.
Moving on.
I mean, but hey, what goes on in mine and Tom Phillips DMs is nobody else's business.
Is it going to be a perfect 10 business? Because we're going to talk about Todd Dillinger.
Yay, Ty Dillinger. Perfect 10.
10.
The perfect 10 that can never win a damn match. Yeah, I mean, I like Ty Dillinger, but like, am I really gonna be the one who's like, man, this guy needs to be pushed higher? I like him, but I'm not really crazy about seeing him really like get pushed to the main event scene or anything like that. I think he's a good guy to have. He's a valuable person to have in the mid card. I'd like to see him win a little bit more, but at least he's been in more high profile matches recently.
I've been a big fan of him in NXT. It's just like that nickname, as cool as it is and as cool as the entrance is, the moment you start losing, like he already had the story in NXT where he was like the perfect 7 because like he wasn't winning matches. So then it was about building him up to a perfect 10 and it worked. But he's just in the mid card of the main roster. So like Mr. Perfect, he was called Mr. Perfect, right? Which is a strong title, but his perfectness was about what he did, right? It was all the things that he did. But Ty Dillinger, it's like, what is he a perfect 10 of? It's not like you get these highlight videos on SmackDown, right? Showing like similar to Mr. Perfect. Look at me dunk a basketball 500 feet. Look at me like win a Hearthstone tournament. Because why not?
Dunk a basketball at 500 feet. I'd be interested to see how that's possible.
Is that possible? Talk about Tyler Breeze here. No, talk about Xavier Woods. I actually want to check this.
Xavier Woods. Let's see. Up, up, down, down. Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods, man. I love me some Xavier Woods. And he's another guy. I mean, Juan, if you think I love me some Xavier Woods,
I love me some Wood.
Give it the chance. He he would marry the damn man, and that's like not even a joke. So Nicole, watch out. Yeah, I mean, the guy, I think, has a ton of potential as a singles guy eventually. The New Day, we all love them together, but I think they all could be great on their own. I mean, we've seen Kofi as a singles guy, so really the most excitement comes from now that Big E and Xavier have gotten way more comfortable with their characters and who they are in the WWE. We're really curious to see what these guys could do on their own. And Xavier is another guy who would be great to see what he could do on a singles level, especially now that they've kind of emphasized his wrestling more than they did in the past. And then, of course, he's so valuable as someone doing, really capturing the video gamer audience for WWE. I think that's super important. So Xavier's super valuable to the company, and I'm very curious to see how a singles run would go for him.
I think it would be criminal to not have Xavier eventually become a WWE champion, especially like now that up, up, down, down is the big thing that it is, at least within the next 2 years or something. Have him win the championship, so like we have that to really celebrate. Xavier Woods, I see nothing but a limited potential on that guy. I'm truly a big fan. We had a video a couple of weeks ago about who are some of our current favorite superstars. He's in my top 5. Shucky ducky quack quack, man. So
channeling a lot of Booker T today.
Booker. With that, folks, we have concluded our WWE SmackDown Live review. We do want to thank you guys once again for supporting us for so long. I truly needed that laugh there at the end. It was really fun, man. And let us know, like, out of the SmackDown roster, who's your top 5 that you want to be the top 5 of the show? By that, I mean, like, the top 5 aspiring superstars that you would like to be at the top of the food chain. So, like Xavier Woods, he's a tag team champion, but maybe, like, in a year down the road, you want him to be, either United States champion. That would be pretty awesome. At least have him slowly move up the ranks, like a rivalry between him and AJ Styles, like babyface versus babyface. That would be pretty awesome. So, folks, we already talked about the Byte That updates. We will not be covering questions this week because, as we mentioned at the top of the show, what's going to be happening is next week, Ryan, we're going to air our grievances, and if it all goes according to plan, Keith should be joining us for the next 2 weeks. We talked to him before the show, and that should, keyword being should, be happening. If you have anything you want us to bring in that episode up, you can send us an email to bytethatcast@gmail.com. Use the subject line #VentThat. That's going to be happening for next week. Anything else, Ryan, that you would like to clarify for that episode?
No, you pretty much covered everything. You did the weekly update, so we got that old school video of CWE, a wrestling league we worked on many years ago. The initial project Juan and I worked on. So you can take a trip down memory lane with us and view that. And then Juan mentioned next week we're going to have that podcast episode 0 go up on the YouTube channel. But yeah, next week is all about us just letting it out about WWE. What are the things that have drawn us away? We want to get all the negativity out, but in a healthy, critical way. This is almost like our like letter to WWE of, hey, this is what we no longer enjoy about what you do, and kind of like it's like our final presentation for WWE. We're not going to do a PowerPoint, but this is kind of our letter to them in podcast form.
So PowerPoint would be awesome.
Yeah, but so if you want to be a part of that, as Juan said, use the hashtag #VentThat. You can start using it right now because we'll be able to filter all the hashtag tweets that you sent us, and we will include we'll include as many as we can in the episode.
Actually, I'll do something to make it a little easier for those on Facebook. Tomorrow, Thursday, September 14th, I'm going to pin a post about next week. So like that way, everybody can just keep dumping those on the Facebook page as well. So like that way, you can actually also see what everybody else is writing. So maybe, you don't actually put in the same question or something. So that's going to be another option just to make it a little bit easier for you guys.
Yeah. So, Byte That may be going away at the end of September, but we're going out with a bang. We got an awesome next 2 episodes planned. So we hope you join us for that in our final hurrah. We're excited about it, and it's been great to just have such an outreach from the community. And we look forward to these next 2 episodes. And, we've got our projects going forward after that, and we hope you join us for some of those. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for this episode and this major announcement. We hope to see you next week and the week after. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.